Today I'm working on a 2010 Toyota Corolla with a 1.8 liter engine, and today the customer's complaint is that they are smelling a burning smell. It smells like a barbecue or a charcoal smell from inside the vehicle, and so the customer wants to find out if it's coming from inside or from outside the vehicle. Welcome back to the Moose Mobile Auto Repair channel. And so uh, today I drove this vehicle. In some cases, as soon as you start it, you can smell a burning smell, and it will probably last around like 5 minutes or 10 minutes, and then it will go away. And now the burning smell is not always there, and so uh, I tried to confirm the issue, and I could smell something burning on the passenger side area in the front. It smells like as if there's a problem with the blower motor and or the resistor. So we are going to dig deeper and see on what's going on here. Now, I already had a brief look from underneath the hood, and I haven't found anything. And I also checked the exhaust system as well, and I wasn't able to find anything. But there are some times you will see flying plastic bags on the road, and it will get caught onto the exhaust and start to melt, and it will emit a burning smell. But I wasn't able to find anything in the exhaust system. And so I know that it's not that, and it doesn't have anything to do with the brakes, because it also happens when the vehicle is stationary. So the vehicle is not moving. So the first thing I'm going to do is to have a look at the cabin filter to see if it's clogged up and if there's any dirt or debris inside the blower motor. So the first thing we're going to do is to remove the cabin filter and see on what's inside the blower motor. We need to push in on both, on the side of the glove box area, and then remove the filter housing. See if there's anything here. This one is not all that dirty. We are going to replace it though. There are some dirt and debris, and I know that sometimes uh, things like pine needles can cause like a burning smell in some cases, but not all the time. So you have to watch out for that. Sometimes if you sniff or smell the cabin filter, you may be able to smell something there. It's not advised that you do that, but it's just something to check. So now I'm inside the housing here and where the blower motor is, just trying to see if there's any debris or dirt or like dead mice or rodents, because there are sometimes there could be uh, dead animals inside the HVAC or HVAC housing, and so they like to make themselves a, a, a small nest and home inside the vehicle. So we're going to have a look at that. So we're just going to temporarily to close this up for now, and we're just going to have a look at the blower motor resistor and test the resistance. It's located just right here. It's held with a couple of screws and the connector. Now I forgot to mention that this vehicle is equipped with the manual temperature or climate control. If you have the automatic temperature climate control, then this is going to be a little bit different. So I know the Corolla LE models came with the automatic climate control. So if you have that, this is a different system. So it's not the same. This is only for the manual climate control. So I just removed the cover that was here. So it just pulls out. It's just it clips in. So you pull this out, and then I hooked up an amp clamp to the blue wire to where the blower motor is. There's some aftermarket wiring here. That's for the radio. So the blower motor is just a 2-pin connector. There's only a blue and a brown wire. So I just removed the plastic cover that was here in the kick panel area. So you just need to pull it off, and then it should come out. It's held by 2 clips here and one here. So you take that out, and so now I hooked up the amp clamp to the blue wire to the blower motor. It's coming from the blower motor. It's a 2-pin connector, so it's a blue and brown wired connector, and so it's hooked up to the blue wire, so I can get the amperage reading and how much current the blower motor is putting out. Right now it's turned off. So I temporarily removed the amp clamp so I can show you the connector. It's right here. That's the connector for the blower motor, and over here we have the blower motor resistor, which is just over here. So right now I'm going to turn the blower motor on. There are 4 positions, so I'm going to go to the first one and work all the way up to the last one, and we are going to note the current draw for each one. So I'm going to go to the first position. Make sure that you have it on DC amps. So I have it on DC amps. I don't know if you guys can see that from here. So it's drawing 3.1 amps at the moment on the first position. So I'm just going to leave the camera here. So I'm going to go to number 2, about 5 amps, 5.1. Then to number 3, 8.5, 8.6, 8.3, dropping a little bit. So 8.3 amps on number 3, and then the last one is number 4, high. It jumped to 21. Then to 16 of 15.8 amps, 16 amps approximately. So when I put it on the high speed on number 4, it was drawing close to 16 amps and stabilizing there. So I still have to see if this blower motor is no good or if it's still okay, because every once in a while when I start the vehicle, I put the blower motor on. Sometimes it takes time, and then you can smell like a like a barbecue or charcoal burning smell, and then it stays for like 5 minutes and then goes away. And so I'm trying to see if the burning smell is coming from the resistor or if it's coming from the blower motor itself. In most cases, burning smells or electrical burning smells, usually it will produce an electrical burning smell. But this time around smelled like a barbecue or charcoal smell, and I can only smell it from the interior of the vehicle. So I already checked the obvious things. I thought at first it could have been coming from underneath the hood, and I checked the exhaust area because sometimes there could be like a loose plastic bag that's on the road, and it could get caught onto the exhaust and cause a burning smell. But I confirmed it not too long ago that the smell was coming from the floorboard passenger side area. So I'm still investigating and I'm checking to see if the blower motor is defective or not. So I have to check the specifications to see if 16 amps is normal or not for a blower motor on this vehicle. So I need to see how much is a reasonable amount of amperage for the blower motor. Now understand that if a blower motor is pulling too much current, it could cause the wire to burn up and melt. So you can inspect the wiring to see if the wiring is okay. In this case, I didn't really see anything, so it seems that the wiring is okay so far. I haven't found anything yet. For now, I'm just checking the amperage output to see how much current is putting out, because the system is still working normally as it should. Now, the reason why blower motors they pull excessive current is because that with time and use, the bearings and the windings they wear out over time, and so there are some cases in which the blower motor has to work harder in order for it to spin and produce the proper airflow. So over time, it will naturally produce slightly more current. So if too much amperage or current gets drawn into the blower motor, it means that the blower motor is working too hard to make it spin and to produce the proper and necessary airflow through the HVAC or HVAC system. So with time, the blower motor can wear out, and so you will need to change them in some cases if it's not working very well or if it's not working at all. Now, my suggestion is that if both or either the resistor or the blower motor is bad, it's not good to just replace the one. It's good to replace them in pairs. So it's good to replace both the blower motor and the resistor together. So say that the blower motor stops working and the resistor still seems to be okay. It's a good idea to replace them both as a set. The reason is because that if you just replace the blower motor only, it could cause the resistor to put strain on the blower motor, and vice versa, for the blower motor to put strain onto the resistor, and it will cause it to burn out. You are better off to replace both the blower motor and the resistor together. So I'm going to see if I can find the specification for the amperage output for the blower motor on high speed and compare that with the reading that I found here and see if it's normal.
16 amps. It may be just about right, or just slightly a bit too much, but I don't think it's a big deal.
So I got the connector out. There's a couple screws, the to Phillips screws. So you just need to undo the screws, and the blower motor resistor should just come out after that. So here's the resistor. So here's the resistor. It says here, uh, do not repair. So that's a warning to not fix these. You only replace them. Now there is one thing that I noticed here. I see some buildup of some deposits onto the metal. I'm not too sure on what that is. It's a bit hard to see that on camera. So we are just going to do some resistance checks now. So I'm just having a look at the specifications and the procedures. So if you look closely on the pinouts, you see on top medium 1 and high, and at the bottom is low, and the bottom right says medium 2. So this is the fan settings from 1 all the way to 4. So these are the specifications. It says E66-1 high to E66-4 E, 3.12 to 3.6 ohms. So it says E. I believe this is the same as low, I think, in the L, because I don't see any E here on the resistor itself. So right now I'm just inside the garage because it's raining outside. So we're gonna do from high to pin high to pin E. So E is low on this one. So we're gonna do high and E. We're getting roughly 3.6 ohms. The specification is 3.12 to 3.6, so that's good. And then now we are going to do high to medium 1. So high to medium 1, 1.8 ohms. This is the specification is 1.45 to 1.67. So it's a bit out of spec for this one. Went to 1.7, 1.8. So this should be 1.45 to 1.67 ohms. It's close, but it's still outside the range. Now it's moving again. So this is out of spec by a tiny bit for the medium 1 setting. Now we're going to do uh, medium 2. So high to medium 2. So we're going to do high to medium 2. This is 0.7, 0.8 ohms. Specification is 0.52 to 0.6. So it's out of specification. So 0.8, 0.9. And he said if it's out of the specification, it said to replace the blower motor, a resistor. And now say you are testing the pinouts for this, and you have OL for open circuit, or infinite resistance. It would mean that that particular fan setting is not working, and so you would need to replace the resistor. Now we are going to proceed to remove the blower motor and just inspect it and see if we find anything, and just go from there. We're probably going to end up replacing these parts anyway to to remedy the issue, and that should fix the customer's problem. So there's a connector for the blower motor, so we're going to take that off, and it's held by 3/8 uh, millimeter bolts. So we have to remove the Phillips screw that's holding the bracket over here, so we can get to the rest of the bolt. I won't be able to film everything. So there's one bolt down here, one here, and there's one that's just in between the bracket, just in between the bracket here underneath. So we need to remove the screw to get this bracket out. So once you got that loose, you're able to have access to the bolt here. So one bolt here, here, and there's the one that's in the back. And the last one. Once you get that out, the blower motor should just be able to pop out after that. So we would need to take off the plastic clip off of the blower motor. Just should clip off. And then you have the blower motor here. So here's the blower motor, the old one. I don't really see like much with it. There's just some debris, dirt from underneath. Now blower motors and the resistors, they wear out over time, so they weaken over time, and the windings and the bearings, they wear out, and so it will be less efficiency over time. So the airflow won't be as strong, uh, whether you are cooling or heating. So over time they just get weak, and then sooner or later they burn out. So now I'm going to be testing the blower motor off of the vehicle. And now I already know that it's working, but I just don't know on how well and efficiently it's working. So I connected the two pins, the positive and the negative. It doesn't matter on which end you hook up, it will just spin in the other direction because it's a DC motor. So you can use like a battery or something, or I have a battery booster or a charger, or you can use like a 9-volt battery, but it won't be able to spin as fast when you connect the 9-volt battery because it doesn't have enough power. So you can see it's spinning right now. So now I just hooked up the battery charger to the blower motor. So we are just going to test it out now. We're going to turn the power on. Whoop. That's a lot of power. I only put it at 12 volts, 2 amps, so that's pretty crazy. We're gonna try to hold it instead. So that way it doesn't fly off. So it's working, and that's all you need to know. We're going to turn this off now. Although it's still working, there are times that the windings and the bearings can be worn out, and you may not notice that it's producing its full capability of the airflow. So even though it's still working, uh, I talk to the customer to get their approval if they still want to go ahead and do the replacement, and they said okay. So we're just going to go ahead and replace it. I do know that the blower motor resistor, it was slightly out of specifications, so we are just going to replace them both. It's always a good idea to replace both the blower motor and the resistor at the same time because they work together. And so, because if you only replace one or the other, you could have issues, and it could strain the other component, and then you will end up replacing them again. So, it's always best to replace them both as a set at the same time. Now, one other thing I would want to note here is that that say if you're having an issue like this is only working on high speed only, then it would mean that the blower motor resistor is burnt out. This blower motor, it's either on or it's off. So it's on high speed or it's either off. So that's why they have the resistor in the circuit to limit the amount of current to slow down the blower. They did this to keep the driver and the passengers happy, is just for comfort, so that you're able to adjust the speed uh, as you wish. And so that's why they included the resistor in the climate control system. So anyhow, I'm just waiting for parts. I ordered some aftermarket parts because I'm not able to get the original Toyota OEM parts. So after we install everything back, we are going to test the amperage output of the blower motor, and then you will know a before and after. So it will give us a good idea on on what the output is. So we just got the parts now. This is a new blower motor. It's a Continental blower motor. some reason the new ones has like a piece of metal on the plastic piece here. So just make sure everything is exactly the same. The connectors are exactly the same as the old one. Everything looks exactly the same. In the mounting holes. So now we're going to test the resistance of the new uh, resistor. This is by Standard Motor, SMP, and BWD. It's the same company. This is the part number. The part number for the Continental blower motor is right here. So now we're just going to do the same test as we did earlier, testing from the high pinouts. So it's from high to the low side, E, 3.2 ohms, and then high to medium 1 is 1.6 ohms, 1.7. This one says 1.45 to 1.67 ohms. And the other one earlier, I forgot to show the spec. This is 3.12 to 3.6 ohms. This is 3.2, 3.3. And then we have high to medium 2. So high to medium 2, 0.7 ohms. Specification 0.8, 0.9. It fluctuates a tiny bit. Earlier I had 0.6 on here. 0.52 to 0.6 is the specifications. Now, I assume that if it's slightly out of specifications, I think it would be okay. It's not a big deal because this one is almost similar to this one. So we are going to replace it anyways. I have everything out. So we're just going to put in a new resistor. Now, earlier I mentioned about the intermittent burning smell. Sometimes blower motor resistors, they can produce an intermittent uh, uh, electrical smell or like a burning smell. I'm not sure if it's more like a barbecue or charcoal smell because I was smelling like a barbecue charcoal smell. So anyhow, sometimes the resistors they fail slowly. They don't fail right away until it becomes like super obvious. So anyhow, we're just going to reinstall the resistor and the motor back. Now I believe that the metal pieces on the blower motor for the aftermarket one, they may be a counterweight to balance the shaft and the blower motor as it spins. So I think they are weights. So you're not supposed to take them off. So make sure you install the blower motor resistor the same exact way as it was so that the connector is facing towards you. Make sure the connector clicks in. Just held on by 2 screws. Now we're going to install the blower motor now. So make sure to line up the blower motor onto this You see where the airflow goes. So make sure you you line it up before you install it back in. So now I've installed a new blower motor and the resistor as well. Just make sure that everything is in properly, and the connector for the blower motor goes all the way in. There are sometimes if you try to put the connector in, you will think it's in, but it's not. You gotta make sure you uh, go in all the way until it clicks, and try to tug on the connector just to make sure that it's in. And I reinstalled the bracket for the harness. There's a two black uh, I don't know on what you call it, dimples or dowels. So there's two black dowels that lines up in the two holes, and then you put the screw that's in the middle to secure the bracket. Everything looks good. I put the clip back in for the holder for the wire. The connector is in for the resistor, and the two screws, the Phillips screws. Everything seems to be okay. This is lined up in the housing properly. So now we are ready to test out the new motor and everything. And we are also going to monitor the amperage again. So now we're just going to install a new cabin filter. You see the arrow is pointing upwards, so she will be facing up. And if you're not able to put it in on this side, you will need to put it in on the other side. You can turn it if it doesn't go in all the way like this. This needs to be in the other way, so you just need to turn it like this. There's no other way that that's going to fit. So it closes up at the very end there. I don't know if you can see that on camera. So we're going to put the cabin filter uh, just like that. Make sure it doesn't rub against the blower motor, otherwise you will hear some noises coming from the blower. Just reinstall the door or the window or the blower motor housing. It's clipped in now. So now it's time for the moment of truth. So the engine is running now. You turn the blower on. So I'm getting 6.8, 6.9 amps on high speed. I go to medium 2, which is the number 3, 4.5. And then to medium 1 is number 2, 2.5, 3 amps. Back to number 1, 1.7, 1.8, 1.9 amps, and back to high speed, 6.8, 6.9 amps. So it's on high speed now. It's only putting out 6.6 amps, DC amps. And before it was about 16 amps. So that's a huge difference. So now we're all finished. We're just going to reinstall the black plastic cover now, just to line it inside the hole. Get it inside, and then it should it should clip in, and then it should hold it in place, and then you're all good to go. So everything it's working fine now. It's all fixed. I'm not smelling any more burning smells, but I would have to follow up in the next few weeks or so, when the weather gets a little colder, because usually it's happening when the weather is very cold. But I was still able to smell the burning smell earlier, even in slightly warmer weather. So at first, I thought that the aftermarket blower motor, it felt a little weak, but I think it's fine. I was not too sure, but everything seems to be operating properly. So you could see a huge difference in the amperage. The old one was pulling quite a bit uh, of current, around 16 amps. And the new one is pulling about 6.5 to 6.8 amps. So that is less than half of what it was uh, for the old one. And so that's a huge difference on the high speed setting. So I'm just going to conclude the video now, and and that's pretty much it. That's it for today. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please don't forget to give it a like, and please consider subscribing to my channel if you're not already a subscriber, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good day and take care.